My name is Alyssa Goodo. I am a connection coach, and I wanted to talk about my journey with endometriosis. So, I know that I've kind of mentioned it here and there, and so I actually wanted to give everybody a chance to kind of just hear my journey with it, and especially my journey with my natural health and Plexus specifically. So, I'm going to give a little background here. It's been studied before that endometriosis might actually be something that it's found in the womb, and so uh, and may even be generational. And I think in my case that might actually be true. So my grandmother on my mom's side, she actually had ovarian cancer and ended up needing a hysterectomy. And so it's not something that was really, even still, it's not something really well treated or even well found. It's like you have to have specialists who specialize in endometriosis to be able to find it still. So I highly suspect that she had it, but also my mother, she's had a lot of similar symptoms to what I've been experiencing over, my journey with this and figuring out identifying the key aspects and symptoms. And I think I think she's really had a hard time with it. And so they've both suffered with severe depression, and there's actually been tests done on mice where they've induced endometriosis, and it was found that the mice with endometriosis were more depressed, anxious, and sensitive to pain compared to the placebo um, controls that didn't have endometriosis. And so it's really interesting how all of this is kind of tied together. And so for me and my journey specifically, I was 13 whenever I first had my cycle experience ever. And so for the most part, I thought I had a really normal cycle. I only had an occasional, experience where the pain would be really severe, where it was really hard to move and get off the couch. And I would like lay in a ball and just cry. But I don't know, they were normal for me. I didn't really have regular bowel movements, for example. So, like, I would only go once a week. And since I could remember, I always had really, really bad leg pains. And for years, they were just called leg pains, or growing pains, rather. And they never went away. They just got really worse over time. And so it always has gone from my lower back and my hip area all the way down the back of my legs into my feet. And so that's often associated with sciatic pain. And it's actually found that endometriosis can travel anywhere in the body. So, like, even to the diaphragm, it can cause breathing problems and things like that. And so it's actually super common for women to have sciatic related pain because of it. But it wasn't until I was about 20 years old that I actually started experiencing like regular symptoms of endometriosis, like as far as I knew anyway. The main two things that changed that made me realize it was the nausea and the pain. So about a week before it was my time to cycle, I would get really like unbearably nauseous, and especially in the morning. And it would just continue all day long, all the way up until you know, until another couple days after my cycle was over. So it was about 2 weeks that I was just constantly feeling these symptoms. And the ironic part is that while endometriosis is commonly known for causing infertility, the symptoms that I got actually ended up scaring me into thinking that I was pregnant a lot. And so I was constantly like sniffing ginger, trying to make the nausea go away because it was the only thing that would help. And it was awful. The pain that would come with it, it wasn't just like in your abdomen where most ladies experience it. It was pain that shoots like all the way down to your lady bits, all the way down to the front. And it's this combination of like burning, this this fiery burn of razor burn, just like constant knife stabbing pain. And then usually this, also led to the sciatic pain as well. And I would miss at least once a day, a month from work because I couldn't get out of bed. And then whenever I finally did push myself into work because I had to, I was hunched over in my desk and making do by putting ridiculous amounts of peppermint oil all over my body trying to get the pain to stop. And the longer that it went, the worse it got. The fatigue that comes with it, because endometriosis is all about like toxic buildup and things like that. It was so overwhelming, and so I would literally just be sitting on the couch, like having a conversation, and I wouldn't be able to keep my eyes open or my head up anymore. I was so weak and so fatigued. And then the worst part finally came where I got ovarian cysts. And so these were kind of the last straw for me because I would get them every week. I'm sorry, not every week, every month around my cycle. So you limp around, you're trying to be super gentle with the way that you're moving and just trying to let it go away on its own, because it's actually pretty common that women do get cysts, and a lot of times, especially around ovulation time, and you don't feel them. But one ruptured on me. And I was pretty sure I was dying for, a good 30 seconds there, but then the relief quickly it followed because the pressure was gone. But yeah, this was every month. Every month it started getting to this point. And so I had added some things to my health to kind of help with what I was experiencing. I knew that I study natural health in general, and so supporting the liver I knew was really important. So juniper berry was something that I was adding. I would add a little bit to like my water, for example, for the day, and I would have lots of water in general, and especially add some lemon to it as well. I was doing mild but regular exercise, so I was making sure I was moving at least 30 minutes a day, and I was getting in my steps and mixed milk thistle. And I was managing all of my pain symptoms with peppermint oil. And it honestly, it helped. It was just like nothing would cut the edge off. I even tried to do kratom or kratom, however you like to pronounce it, and it wouldn't even touch it. I mean, it's ridiculous because nothing can touch inside of it to get rid of the pain. And so I tried to do some supplements over time. I did the over the counter at the drugstore, and I did the really super expensive ones online with tons of good reviews, and some honestly just didn't do anything for me. They they most often gave me allergic reactions, and they weren't like the detoxing symptom reactions. They were like actual allergic reactions. And so I would try, like out of my desperation, I would try to open the capsule and only put just like a fraction of what they were putting into it, and it was still, honestly, I was very dangerously close to hurting myself. So after wasting all of my money on things that didn't work and I couldn't use, and they were just being stored in my cabinet because there was no one that could use them, and being broke, I kind of hit a wall with my health, and I was just really miserable. My anxiety and depression got much worse than they've been previously, and I just didn't know what to do anymore. And so I saw a neighbor friend. She lives down the road from me actually, and she was selling Plexus. And so out of curiosity, I explicitly remember asking her, I've had vitamins that give me bad reactions before. So what are my options if this happens? And she actually promised that they had a 60-day money back guarantee, and if I decided to go through with it, they would actually let me keep the products. Which honestly, if they don't do anything for me anyway, I had no interest in keeping them. But it was just I wasn't willing to waste all my money again. And so I literally had nothing to lose at that point, and so I decided to try it. But I only tried one. I decided to start off with just the BioCleanse because that's the one that cleans you out the most. And toxic buildup is key number one thing, getting rid of the junk in your body. And this is where it kind of all starts, is with BioCleanse. And that immediately showed improvement. Over the first month, I got rid of all of my nausea, and I started having regularity in my bowel movements, and they weren't painful, because part of the fun of endo is that you can have painful bowel movements, but they can also be bloody, which I know is super disgusting, but I had to live with that for years. Just saying. Like that was my life. And so in the first month, this this was all starting to clear up right away. So now being 6 months in, I decided, I've added more products very slowly over time, but I've worked up to the Slim Microbiome Activating, which is a prebiotic, Probio 5, which is 5 different probiotics, BioCleanse, which cleans out your system, X Factor Plus, which is a multivitamin that has every B vitamin that we need in our diets, Nerve, which just helps with nerve discomfort in general, and Vital Biome that has 8 different strands of probiotics, as well as 2 specific probiotics for specifically for like stress and psychobiotics is what they're called. They're specifically for stress management, anxiety, depression, and that sort of thing. And I even indulge in the occasional whey meal replacements because they're just so delicious. And honestly, you can make smoothies out of them. You can make waffles and pancakes, and they're just really good. So, in by the 3rd month, I had no more symptoms of my endometriosis. The pain, the fatigue, and the nausea, all of it were gone, and my mood and energy had increased dramatically. And what's interesting is there were 2 months where I would be over a week late for my cycle. And I thought I was pregnant because my hormones were fluctuating naturally without having to supplement with, with hormone therapies that they usually like to throw at you with endometriosis. I've tried the birth controls, I tried the shot, I tried the monthly pill. They all made me sick. They all made me aggressive. They all made me just an awful person to be around. And it didn't help anything because I still ended up having it. So just by my having a good diet, getting a good nutrition, getting probiotics, all of these things in my health, my hormones started to naturally balance out where they needed to be. And so I had some body sensitivities. I would get like really emotional at some points. Like I would just want to cry because I was just so happy in random moments. I'd just be like, "You're so sweet. I love you so much." And then I'd turn around probably, 10 minutes later and be ready to fight. And it was just crazy. I felt like a pregnant lady and I was always starving. I was starving. All of my body was just extra sensitive to touch, and I had hot flashes. You could really feel the hormones adjusting. And so now, like even now, I actually, it was about the 4th month, my skin, it completely broke out, and it was disgusting. Like I've never had acne breakouts as a teenager. I never had skin problems, but because my hormones were fluctuating, all of my skin had broken out and it looked disgusting. But even now, like my skin, it's extra soft. My hair is a lot softer and it's growing faster now. It's the texture is a little bit different than it used to be. So like sometimes I get dry spots and then sometimes I get really oily spots. And people like hear these things and they get really scared and they're like, oh, then that means it's not working. No, it means that my skin is detoxing, and that's a good thing. So, like sweating more, sweating is really good for the body. I know it's disgusting and we don't like to talk about it, but guess what? Every time you sweat, you're getting rid of all of the junk in your body that doesn't need to be in there. So that's why showering regularly is so important because you're getting all of that off your body. And so you're I mean, even my super thick hair, it's it's falling out more than it ever used to, and that's another sign that like your testosterone is fluctuating and things like that. And it's just really interesting. But beyond all the hormone stuff, even like the fat on my body, I've never been a super big girl. Like the most that I've ever weighed in my life was 110 pounds, and that was a victory for me, honestly, but it was all unhealthy fat, and it's not something that you need. So between having good nutrition, having my Plexus products, just taking care of my body in general, and intermittent fasting, I ended up dropping all of the fat, and I'm like 86 pounds now. And I'm not encouraging you to like starve yourself. Please don't do that because I ended up doing it in a way that's good for me. But now I'm adding in a whole bunch of protein and I'm actually starting to gain muscle. And so I went from laying in bed for like 3 or 4 hours at a time at a night before I could fall asleep, and then waking up another 5 times while trying to sleep, and then an hour in the morning to wake up, like hearing the alarm and then groaning and laying in bed scrolling on your phone for an hour. I went from doing that to going to sleep in 10 minutes from laying down, sleeping soundly like a baby, and having some really interesting dreams, to be honest. And then waking up ready to jump out of bed, ready before my alarm clock. So it's been a really interesting journey so far, and I'm only 6 months in. And I think what's interesting is that people kind of, they want like this super power magic sort of solution. And the truth is like this is natural stuff. And while Plexus has been so helpful for me in my journey, it's also not the only thing that matters. So, having a good diet, drinking a lot of water, getting in regular movement and exercise, and then taking care of your mental well being, like through talk therapy or journaling or doing a hobby that's good for you. I mean, whatever that looks like for you, you need to be doing all of these things to support yourself. And I have been. It's just Plexus has been something that has really pushed me over the edge with getting everything naturally well, and it's given me that edge that I need. So like I can't get everything through my diet. So I supplement because a lot of us need supplements. We just can't get everything that we need from our diet. And so this was my solution and it's been wonderful. But even though it's been 6 months and I'm still not fully there where I want to be, it took me years to get to this point. It took me years to get to the point where I was having cysts every month. And now, 6 months into the journey, I've almost completely gotten rid of all of those symptoms. And now other symptoms are starting to work themselves out that I didn't even know I was struggling with. So, like my behavioral problems, like anxiety and depression, those things are actually starting to become less of a problem for me. And I thought it was part of my biological makeup at this point. And it's been an incredible experience. But please know, like, detoxing is real. You're not going to immediately get this and feel magical and wonderful. It doesn't work that way. It took years to get sick, and it takes time to heal. And so whenever you first start putting in healthy things into your body, you're going to get bad reactions. You're going to feel sick, you're going to feel worse, like you're going to have flu-like symptoms. And the best way to avoid these things, they're called detox and Candida die-off symptoms. The best way to avoid these things is to build your way up. So, like I said, I started off with one product at a time, and I only took one at a time because my body is usually so sensitive to things whenever I take something. And this was all because I was using synthetic stuff. So they say, like, oh, yeah, it's natural. It's not. There's a lot of synthetic fillers and a lot of things. So I took a lot of caution whenever starting Plexus. I was like, yeah, I don't want to have an allergic reaction again. So I started off with one product, taking one a day. And I was very, very cautious about the way that I did it. And it turns out that everything that I had trouble with, it was all because the quality of the products that I was using. And so it over time, adding in, so like the bio cleanse, you're supposed to take two at a time between meals twice a day. So up to four a day. And I still don't do that just for me because I don't feel like I need to, but I still, I went from one a day for about a week, and then I went up to two whenever I felt comfortable. And then whenever I added on, like, for example, my multivitamin, you're supposed to take two a day. So I went from, taking two bio cleanse every day, and then I added on one multivitamin, which is the X Factor Plus. And so I was taking two bio cleanse and then one multivitamin. And I just added the products on very slowly, a week at a time, that sort of thing, until I got really comfortable. And this really helped the detox symptoms because a lot of people, they kind of take it all at once and then they shock their system. And your system, it's so used to running off of toxins and junk that it actually can damage you more than it can be helpful, because all of a sudden your liver and your kidneys and all of your detoxing organs have to work overtime. And then you start craving sugar and you start getting skin rashes and you start throwing up and it makes you feel like you have the flu and you think that it's trying to kill you. And I promise it's not. It's a sign that the products are working. But take it slow, trust the process, and drink lots of water. You're supposed to be drinking half of half of your body weight in ounces of water a day. So for example, the 16.9 ounces of water bottles that you have, I drink three a day because I'm 86 pounds, so I need about 40 ounces of water a day. And so I drink 3 ounces, 3 water bottles a day. And that's good for my body weight. And then you adjust it for yours. And yeah, so just things are going to keep improving over time. Every time I felt like I was hitting a wall or I was getting worse, and having a support system is really important. So like me having my mentor, thankfully she was there to be like, yeah, just keep pushing. And then having support groups like other Plexus people who are going through the same thing, I would talk to them and I'd ask them what their experience was, especially with me missing my cycles. They were like, yeah, your hormones are fluctuating. And I thought the same thing. You're not pregnant, just keep riding it out. And eventually it all worked out. And I'm really glad that I just kept pushing through it because it turned out to be something life changing for me. So I'm here to help you however I can. And I really just, I hate to see women experiencing these things and struggling with these things knowing that I can help them and then them not trusting it. It's I know that it's one of those things like you hear it's all natural or you hear all these bad reviews or you think it's super expensive. Guys, I can't express to you how much I had those same things. I've taken bad products, I've had bad reactions to things, and I'm broke. Like, but guess what? Being sick was actually so much more devastating to me than being healthy is. So it's either making money for appointments and then having to miss a whole bunch of work to make sure that you can get to them and feeling miserable all the time, or hustling, doing the work to make sure that you have the ability to get the products and then you have tons of energy, you feel great, you start improving your livelihood, and then you don't have to miss a million appointments just to go to all these doctors who can't give you any answers or help. Try it. 60 days, it's a money back guarantee, and it's, I wish I could express to you how helpful it is. Please reach out to me. I want to be your support system. I'm here to help you because it can be really daunting to do something like this on your own. I want to help you and I want to help you get through this. And guess what? You can improve. Whatever it is that you're aiming toward, you can get there. Just have patience with yourself and love yourself through the process. But anyway, that's my update for 6 months, and I will hopefully be doing another 6 months, or I don't know, we'll see. Maybe I'll do it sooner. But that's just been my journey so far. So thanks for listening.